Hey there everyone, Lone Wolf 360 here, back again for another video. So if you guys remember a while back, I made a video talking about Exoprimal, with one of my main points being that I was very hyped for the game because it reminded me of Anthem, but if Anthem wasn't garbage, with the whole being able to run around with your homies, using exosuits, and having a good time by fighting a bunch of mobs and stuff like that. So by the time that the first beta rolled around, I was severely disappointed because unfortunately I didn't make the cut. But then the second beta rolled around, which was the open one, so luckily I got the chance to play, and considering that I got a good few matches in, I'm going to be giving my experience on Exoprimal and just giving my overall thoughts on the game before it eventually drops. So of course, let us begin. So one of the main questions from a lot of people that haven't played the beta is Exoprimal fun? And the answer is yes, it actually is kind of fun. And I'm going to elaborate on everything in a second. So, to explain Exoprimal in a nutshell, this game is a PvE/PvP experience. So, on one hand, you're going up against waves or even giant hordes of dinosaurs, and then on the other hand, you're going up against other players. Pretty much whichever team can complete objectives faster wins the match, and whichever team doesn't complete any objectives at all or just slower loses the match. Pretty simple gameplay loop to get down. But now that we're done talking about that, let's talk about the exosuits. The suits in Exoprimal have a lot of variety to them, surprisingly speaking, because despite there being a few suits in each given class, like the attack, the support, and also the tank, all of them stand out enough from each other, not only from a visual standpoint, but from a gameplay standpoint, that you can easily find your main by the time that you're done with the first match, or by the time that you're done just messing around in the training area. And the thing about this game when it comes to the whole thing about using the suits is that you can swap between almost any of them at any given time, though it's recommended that you probably shouldn't swap between them while you're in the middle of dealing with dinosaurs, because man, let me tell you, playing as a little weak, pathetic human will be the thing that will be your downfall, and you will be torn into itty-bitty little pieces. Well, rather that, or when you're dealing with enemy players, you won't even really have a chance fighting back because you're just going to be dead before you could even do anything. And I have heard some people recommending that there should be a longer downtime between swapping suits, and I'm just like, yeah, but at the same time, I feel like the game does a good enough job at punishing you enough by going hey, you probably shouldn't be swapping suits right as you're in the middle of a firefight, or right as you're in the middle of dealing with a whole bunch of dinosaurs. But now that we're done talking about that, how about we move on into the difficulty? So when it comes to the difficulty in this game, I have to say, for the most part, Exoprimal is pretty easy. But I feel like this game really teaches the player to work with the team, because if you're the type of idiot that just kind of runs face first into a crowd of dinosaurs, well, you will get torn in half in a given amount of time. That's pretty quickly. Like, the exosuits do give you a sense of protection, but they aren't that powerful. And the same thing also counts for larger dinosaurs as well, and smaller variants of them. Because man, let me tell you, when you have to deal with normal raptors along with some type of sniper or some flying guys, it can get pretty chaotic on screen. But man, let me tell you, I feel like the peak moment in this game where things get really interesting is when you need to deal with an entire horde of dinosaurs. And just to make a big difference between the two, small waves of dinosaurs are these guys that pop out of these small bubbles that just kind of spawn throughout the map. But when it comes to these hordes, well, it's a different case. Not only because you see this giant black void just kind of pop up from out of nowhere, and you start to see these pixels falling down from screen, but you can hear the announcer Leviathan go yeah bro, good luck surviving this. And man, let me tell you, it's unironically one of the most hype moments in the game, because you have your entire team having to work together to try and survive this absolute onslaught of dinosaurs, which can't be defeated by one person. It has to be a whole team effort. And I have to say, if this game has a 10v10 type of thing to where you get to work with the other team to take down other dinosaurs in this game, that would honestly be peak gaming in my opinion. But now that we're done talking about that, how about we move on into the PvP aspect? So when it comes to the player versus player aspect of this game, it's one of the things that has this very small but growing fandom very mixed on the game. Because on one hand, there's a crowd of people that would just rather fight against dinosaurs rather than dealing with other people at the end of the match. And then on the other hand, there's people that just don't really mind it. And I'm kind of mixed on the matter too, because upon my first time playing this game, when I was just dealing with the first match, when I found out that we were going up against other players, it just kind of felt so random to where I'm just like, oh, well, that happened. I was even surprised when I won because I didn't even really know the mechanics or how the objectives really worked in this game. But upon playing a few more matches, I have to say, it really just counts on circumstances. Because see, in certain matches, it could be like, okay, there's no dinosaurs you're dealing with, you're just pushing the objective, and you just need to stay alive long enough for your team member to do what they need to do, like hit a hammer on a beacon or just keep pushing this payload. But then on other matches, I feel like it could be a bit of a pain in the ass because it's like, oh yeah, you're not just dealing with enemy players, you're dealing with an entire little horde of dinosaurs that's running straight at you, so it's kind of hard to try and keep focus on one thing when you're too busy getting massacred by the other. Especially because there's this whole little mechanic to where the game will be like, okay, the other team ain't doing so well. How about we just throw another legion of dinosaurs at you because, hey, they gotta catch up. Rather that, or they just do this thing where it's like, hey, the other team got a dinosaur, not a dinosaur, but I got a dominator, and now you gotta deal with that while trying to push the objective or just trying to stay alive. And it feels very chaotic, but at the same time satisfying when you learn the mechanics and know what you're doing. Now, probably the game is gonna have some mode to where the whole PvP aspect is just optional, but I feel like for the most part, it's like a very mixed deal for me personally speaking. Like, I find it to be okay, but I don't absolutely love it. I would just kind of rather fight against dinosaurs than I would like if there's a bit of variety. But now that we're done talking about that, how about I move into the ending of this video, which I feel like is going to bring up some very important discussions surrounding this game. So, when it comes to Exoprimal, despite this game being fun as someone that has played it, I do feel like if there's one thing which is going to affect this game a lot when it eventually drops, it probably has to be its price tag along with the type of game that it is. Because Exoprimal isn't just a cooperative shooter with PvP elements within it. No. Instead, it's a games as a service title that has a $70 price tag along with a battle pass attached on to it. And I'm not sure about you guys, but anyone that's been playing AAA games in like the past few years can obviously tell that this would be something that in most cases would be a big red fucking flag. Because just like to make a bit of sense here, see, when it comes to games as a service titles, they aren't anything new. They've existed for a while now. But seeing about how people have slowly become tired of them in the past few years, with people just getting burnt out of battle passes or anything, I can imagine that it would be kind of hard to convince someone to hop into Exoprimal. And I'm not trying to say that there isn't going to be an audience for this game, because hey, there is an audience of people that want to play the game. But I feel like if there is going to be an audience, it's going to result in it being very niche because of that price tag and along with the whole games as a service bias which is going on right now. So while I do find joy in the game, at the same time I feel like it's going to be a bit of an uphill battle when this game eventually drops. But that's all I had to say, folks. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope Exoprimal does well when it comes out, and see y'all in another video. Later, folks.